floods in Mombasa.
The current heavy rains linked to El Nino phenomenon continue to pound various parts of the country, with it death and destruction of property as well as infrastructure. In Garissa, 2 people died early Tuesday as they tried to cross a flooded road. According to Acting Garissa County Commissioner Solomon Cheswit, the 2 elderly persons died last night in Garissa and Ulago areas following heavy rains that pounded the area for 6 continuous hours. The rains, which started at 7 p.m., continued until midnight, destroyed houses, roadside shops and toilets around the town of Garissa and the neighboring areas of Madogo and Mororo in Tana River County. Cheswit has urged residents to be wary of the ongoing El Nino rains.
We have had roads cut off outside Garissa sub-county. All the other 9 sub-counties in Garissa County have been cut off from the main roads. Our main road from Garissa to Dadaab is not passable. The road from Modiga to Modogashe is not passable.
Also affected was Modiga-Mogashe, Garissa-Dadaab highways, which have been completely damaged. The heavy rains in the area have displaced thousands of families. In another incident, a deputy head teacher who was administering the ongoing KCSE exams in Masalani died after a helicopter blade chopped off her head as she was approaching the helicopter to ferry her to the school.
The helicopter which was ferrying exams from Masalani, DCC's container, got involved in an accident where one deputy head teacher, Ahmed Nur Ismail, was hit on the head by the rear rotor of the helicopter. He died on the spot.
Meanwhile, more than 1,000 families affected by the ongoing El Nino rains in Kisauni, Mombasa County, on Tuesday benefited from relief food from the government. The relief food was distributed to them by Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who visited the affected families. Gachagua challenged county governments to allocate more funds to supplement the national government's efforts. The DP was accompanied by other top government officials during the visit to Barawa village, distributed food as well as non-food items for flood victims whose homes were submerged by the heavy rains. At least 10,000 people have been displaced from the larger coast region, and the number could go up if the rains continue.
And as part of the ongoing humanitarian efforts and flood disaster assessment, Defense CS Aiden Duale undertook a spontaneous visit to Mandera South, specifically Elwak Town. The purpose of that visit was to evaluate the extent of the flood situation in the county. Accompanying him during the assessment was Mandera Governor Mohammed Khalif. In a meeting with the local community, particularly those affected by the floods in Elwak Town, CS Duale assured them that the government is committed to employing every possible means to alleviate their situation. He announced that the national government has procured food for the affected residents and 10 tons of medical supplies are en route to Elwak.
Wakati ya ukame tumehakikisha bana CS hakuna mtu moja alikufa kwa sababu ya njaa. Because we are able to reach everybody, every corner of this county, and we are able to save lives in terms of water tracking pamoja na relief food. Lakini saa hizi, even if we want to do something, we cannot do. We cannot airlift food. It's not sustainable. Wezi weka chopper tani moja alafu upeleke kilomita kadhaa. It's absolutely not sustainable. Maombi yetu ya kwamba ni hii mabarabara iwekwe pressure so that at least these roads are open.
Ile ndege ilifanya kazi nyingi sana huko Wajir County, ilikuwa inaanza ianze Elwak leo. Tukapata accident. Hii tuko naye fixed wing. Sisi ikiturudisha tu Wajir itarudi. Paka jua ingie ndani itakuwa inafanya, na kesho itafanya. Ili ile madawa ya tani 16 ya Elwak sub county madawa zikuja hapo. Mimi nimeongea na waziri wa barabara, katibu mkuu wa barabara na DG wa Kenya, wawache ofisi yao Nairobi, wakuje hapa Mandera na Wajir na Garissa. Waone barabara, tupate suluhisho kabla ya Jumamosi, Jumapili inshallah.
All right, so we continue that conversation that we started earlier. We are joined by the governor of Mombasa County, Abdullswamad Sharif Nasir, the member of parliament for Eldas constituency in Wajir, Aiden Kainan, and the communications manager of the Kenya Red Cross, Peter Abwao. I want to start with you, Governor. We've seen that the Deputy President was in Mombasa today and he was distributing food, but you were not present. Why? Governor, did you hear us? Sounds like he's not getting us, but we'll come back to that question. The issue of the support that's coming from, both the county government and the national government to the people. For example, in Eldas, like you said, flooded. What kind of support are you receiving, Mheshimiwa, from the national government, from the county government to the people?
I think let's call a spade a spade. During the colonial time, we used to have, during the rainy season, they used to stockpile food, they used to be prepared. We never used to have El Nino. But the colonial government was properly prepared. They knew what was coming. They were prepared financially, logistically, and in every aspect. Unfortunately for the people of northern Kenya, we are still suffering the effects of historical neglect. You remember over the last 4 years, we have had one disaster after the other. We had the COVID disaster, we had the locust, we had the drought, and now it is the El Nino. Now these things, underlying all this is a serious lack of underdevelopment. And sadly, this issue of El Nino was predicted by the weathermen. Everybody knew it was coming. The people who are in charge of the critical department and ministries knew that our roads with the slightest rains will be impassable. So no attempts was made. So right now, I think instead of just crying, what we are asking the national government to do is to declare El Nino, floods, a national disaster so that this can attract donors. Because the government alone may not be in a position actually to assist. The whole area is actually cut off. So right now what we are saying is what has happened. Can this be declared a national disaster? That is one. Can the national government properly coordinate? I was trying to get hold of CS Murkomen, because the bulk of actually the critical now challenge right now is transport. Just for him now to go and see for himself what has happened. The only tarmac road, the saddest part, because of poor design, because of poor construction, the stretch from Garissa to Modogachi, which was tarmacked, and that is the only thing that we inherited since we got independence. The only aspect of northern Kenya which is tarmacked, about 50 kilometers, that area, that part has completely been washed off. So meaning someone must also take responsibility. Who did it? It was less than 10 years ago. How comes it was washed? It's washed off right now. How did it happen? Secondly, I want to also ask the county government of Wajir, Mandera, and Garissa to rearrange their budgets. And whatever that they have budgeted for development, to now have it redirected to this El Nino emergencies, because I'm sure they have their county assemblies, and I think this is possible. For now, the county governments are trying. I want to appreciate the efforts made by the county government of Wajir, Mandera, and Garissa. Is only yesterday that close to 24 tons of medicine actually was airlifted to Wajir. I saw also the Governor Mandera accompanying the CS defense today to different parts of Mandera and part of Wajir. I think the essence right now is, can we see a more coordinated effort from those who are tasked with this? As we speak right now, that coordination is not there. It's like everybody say, this is not my domain, this is not my area, so on and so forth. We do not want to get involved in.
But how can we get to this point, Mheshimiwa, where we are saying that there is insufficient coordination? You're one of the senior-most leaders from this region. You're the senior-most member of parliament in this current parliament. As a senior leader of the North, have you not been involved in any meeting at all with, starting with your county government and county administration, the officials from the national government, the officials from the county government, and elected leaders from Wajir sitting down to say, El Nino is coming, what should we do about it? Has there not been such a meeting? Yes, actually, we have had a meeting with the leadership of first of all, we have had a meeting at the leadership of Northern Kenya, our caucus, Northern Kenya Parliamentary Caucus. We have had a meeting with CS Health.
We have had a meeting with the CS regional and ASAL, Madam Alonza. We have also asked for an appointment with the DP. We have asked for an appointment. I hope you will be gracious enough to allow us to see him so that we can also say what we are seeing, what we have seen, what we are seeing, and what I think the suggestions that we can give. But right now, what is missing is, yes, the whole area is cut off. Is it possible for everybody to get food through airdrops? No, it's not possible. So
what is the plan? In all these meetings that you've held, before we got to the level where we are at today, in the meetings that the leaders were holding, what were the plans?
The first thing when we met the CS Health was to ask her to prepare medicine and also nets, mosquito nets, because obviously this will also come with mosquitoes. When we met the CS Asal was just to find out what they had, and they said their only task was distribution of relief food. The other functions actually were under the office of the Deputy President and other ministries. So we have sounded that alarm. What is missing right now is because there was no preparedness when this El Nino phenomenon actually was predicted by the weathermen. Right now we have to address the effects of the El Nino floods, and this is unfortunate. So what we are asking right now is, can the government avail choppers? Can the government avail transport planes from Nairobi to Wajir, at least at the airport, a good airport, Mandera, Garissa, and then from there, maybe they avail choppers to transport this food to areas that have been completely cut off. That is where we are right now. It's unfortunate. It is sad that today, as we speak, we're not only worried about the flood, we're also worried about lack of food, lack of shelter, lack of toilets, decent toilets, lack of housing, literally, and many students.
Full-blown humanitarian disaster.
And look at this, the pain. Even the students who are supposed to sit for their exams, I don't know how they're going to pass, because they have no food, they have no shelter, they have nowhere to go. They're also victims.
Which is what I'm asking you. You're a leader, okay? As we sit here today, you as leader who has access to the other leaders, who has access, for example, to the leadership of the county government, when you say maybe the governments should rearrange their budgets, is this not a conversation that has taken place?
You see...
Is the governor of Wajir not thinking of already going to the county assembly and proposing a supplementary budget to rearrange the budget that was passed?
I'm glad that today the DP also has talked about the issue of exchequer release to these counties that have been affected. I hope that will be fast-tracked and the concerned counties will get their allocation as soon as possible. But right now, the county government, I can speak for the one of Wajir. I think they have done a commendable job, given the limited resources that they have. What we ask them right now to do, because of where we are, is to call an emergency county assembly meeting, reallocate their development budget to this emergency, because that's the only thing that may be available right now. Because if we keep on crying and say the national government should do this, so and so should do that, it's not forthcoming, I think we'll just be wasting our time. And more so, the fact that we are suffering because of historical injustices, because of underdevelopment, because of undevelopment, because of lack of proper planning, because of historical stereotypes. And this is only fair that the government asks for international help. That is the only way the international community can feel, can understand, can see the pain of those people who have been affected, and the government maybe doesn't have the resources, or maybe the government is not in a position to undertake some of the things that people really read right now.
Yeah.
Because I remember in 1997 and 1998, when this similar thing happened, there were a lot of efforts actually. The government declared a national disaster. There was a lot of efforts from the donor community, from Red Cross. Right now, the much Red Cross has done actually. If only the other agencies, the other players will have done, I think some of these things will have been addressed. And more so right now, the water is not the El Nino rains alone, it's the El Nino floods. These floods in Wajir are coming all the way from
Ethiopia.
From Ethiopia, from the other parts of Mount Kenya. So I think it is high time that we call a spade, and I really want to appeal to the government, the national government, because we as the legislators, our work is to oversight, but the people who have the resource are the county executive and the national government.
National executive. Last week, though, in the National Assembly, you passed a supplementary budget.
Yes.
Has it allocated some money towards this?
I think it has not yet been finalized. been assented to by the president, still in the making. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of reallocations actually tailor-made for this particular crisis.
As the caucus of members of parliament from the ASAL areas, is this something that you have actually proposed and looking at what has been presented as a supplementary budget and said, let us pick some of this money so that X amount can go towards addressing the effects of El Nino?
Yes,
is there a specific proposal?
Some of the things are long-term. Infrastructural development is a long-term thing. We can't talk about it right now. It's something that maybe we'll address in the next few months or few years to come. But right now, what we need urgently is food, shelter, medicine, healthcare, and even assess. You know, there are some people, like 2 days ago, one of my MCS was actually almost got carried away actually by the floods. When he attempted actually to rescue a boy who was, you know, somewhere in one of the villages. So I think it's because of this right now that we need to see more coordination, better coordination, more focused, more issue-oriented, more, you know, people-friendly approach that can address this emergency. As it is right now, how many people, for example, have visited that particular area? CS Douala is the first one. Have you had any other CS? No other CS.
National government official.
No national government. Maybe the lower cadre. I think, and that is because historically maybe they are used to people of northern Kenya actually getting some of these challenges either through droughts or through floods or through other natural calamities. But I think right now I really want to appeal to those who are in charge of this to take this issue seriously. Our people are suffering. It's no longer business as usual. If tomorrow they will announce and say this number of people actually have died as a result of this, I think it's only fair that while they are still struggling, the government should give them at least some relief.
Yeah.
The government actually should attend to them. Today, my deputy county commissioner attempted to distribute some relief food, but the whole area is cut off. How will even those who have been given the food, how will they take it to their villages? It's not possible. So these are the things that we are asking. It's a big problem. These are the things that we're asking for right now.
I'll come back to you, Mheshimiwa, as I move the conversation then to Red Cross and the Mombasa Governor. But before I do, you've mentioned a number of things here, you know, about historical marginalization, historical injustices, historical underdevelopment. Am I hearing you saying that what you're feeling now is a perpetuation of this same historical marginalization of your area?
Take, for example, the road from Isiolo, Madogash, Wajir, Mandera has been in the national government plan since independence. It's just recently that somebody was contracted actually to tarmac that particular road. Is that not historical injustice? Look at the road from Garissa, Madogash, Wajir, Mandera. I accompanied Mzee Kibaki in 2007 in launching the first 10 kilometers. To date, 50 kilometers, 20 years down the line. You can see I may not be alive to witness by the time that tarmac road actually reaches, that might be another 50, 60 years to come by the time it reaches Mandera. So it's this. Look at Wajir right now. Wajir has no power. Wajir has no power because in the first place, we had one generator. That generator was not properly covering the whole area. Right now, because of lack of fuel, half of Wajir town tonight is in the darkness. In fact, 3/4 of my constituency headquarters Eldas has no power tonight because most of the poles are falling down because of the floods. So it's because of this that we are saying, had these things been addressed long time ago, 50 years, 40 years, 30 years since we got independence, maybe today we will be talking about the floods, but at least the roads will have been. That's
something else will be at least happening.
Yes.
Take a pause. Let's see. Do we have Governor Abdullswamad? Can you hear us, Governor, now?
Yes, I can.
All right. So I started by asking you the question. We saw the Deputy President was in Mombasa today. He was distributing relief food to some parts of your community. You were not present. And the Deputy President also said in those meetings that the Governor of Mombasa County should be releasing some of his budget for development and redirecting that money towards disaster preparedness. Are you not doing that?
No, I think that's far from the truth. KTN has been able to cover our stories in regards to what efforts we've been able to do in regards to relief. So it's totally untrue that we've not been able to do anything. We were there before even national government got there. But maybe just to take you back so you can be able to understand this, I want to go back to the Constitution of Kenya. Article 186 talks about every single person, and it says very clearly that for the avoidance of doubt, in the fourth schedule of the Constitution, is what is going to show whose role is what. Then when you go to the fourth schedule, part 1, number 24, it clearly states that disaster preparedness is actually national government function. But the same Constitution, Article 189, gives that a meandering form of how county governments and national governments should be able to work. So there's a need for the two levels of government to be able to work together. And yes, you're right. I was not even informed. I was not even aware. By the way, coincidentally, I was at an event, Blue Economy. There was a World Fisheries Day today, together with Governor Orengo, Governor Issa Timami, and the CS for Blue Economy when he was there. Equally, the Member of Parliament for Kisauni was not even aware. He was not informed. The MCA of that area was not aware. He was not informed. So, I mean, it was a whole Kenya Kwanza thing, which is very, very okay. We have no issues with that. But I think what I have issues with is to state that we have released El Nino money to counties, and counties should now be able to dispense of that money. There is no El Nino money that was released. What was released is actually our own equal share, equitable share. That is what has been released for October, by the way. And that is the same equitable share. In regards to where we can be able to allocate, the prerogative is with the executive of Mombasa, headed by myself, with the full endorsement of the county assembly. And yes, before you ask, we are already in the process of doing another supplementary because we have expended monies that were meant to be for emergencies. We have done what needed to be done. So I hope that first of all answers and clarifies those issues.
Okay, so let's go to part 2 of the question. You say that you have already exhausted your emergency fund, what you had already allocated for your budget. Did I get you right?
We allocated 30 million. We allocated 30 million, which with the control of budgets, there is 20 million that is with the control of budgets. There's an extra 10 million that we will definitely be putting through. Coincidentally, there's a lot of people of goodwill out there. Sometimes you don't necessarily have to start stating that you want to use public funds and public funds and public funds. Yes, there's a lot of people of goodwill out there. Secondly, probably you're going to ask this question because you asked me, and it's important that I'm going to be able to answer this. You asked me when I was at Spice FM how prepared we were. We were totally prepared, and let me explain to you. If the voice guys can be able to just reduce it because I can hear too much echo, I can't. Yeah, that's a bit better. But let me just try and clarify these matters. One, if we did not do the interventions that we did, Mombasa would have been submerged in water in totality. I've been able to state this. You yourself have been able to state it, that the areas that have been affected in these rains have majority been Kisauni and Nyali. The road, for those who know Mombasa, there's a road that is being built right now, crossing on your way to Bombolulu and on your way to Mtwapa. And when they built that road, they elevated part of the road. When they built that road, part of the drainages ended up, because it's not complete, ended up being blocked. Part of those areas, the drainages were, the water was unable to reach those areas because the road had been elevated. Result of it is all the neighboring areas had flooding. Mind you, the kind of rains that have been able to be in Mombasa, 35% of what we are to expect in a full year was able to be in Mombasa in a period of 24 to 48 hours. Were we prepared when it comes to issues to do with medicine? Because I heard as well, he said that, you know, we should be able to buy medicine. I'm glad to say that we have no debt with KEMSA. KEMSA, a few days before the El Nino hit us, delivered medicine worth 50 million before El Nino hit us. I'm repeating this again. Before El Nino hit us, delivered 50 million shillings worth of drugs to Mombasa. I'm honored, Mombasa is honored that actually the person who actually flagged off these medicines to go to the different parts of our hospitals was none other than my party leader. Probably that is what irked emotions from others. What it is that we have been able to do as leadership, we have sat down, I myself, together with all the members of parliament, even when we're doing these relief programs, even when we're moving to all the areas that were affected in Mombasa. When I went to Mvita, I was with the Mvita Member of Parliament, various MCAs. The area MCA for the most affected part was unwell in hospital. When I went to Jomvu, I was with the area MCAs. The area MP, unfortunately, is out of the country on a holy pilgrimage. When I went to Likoni, I was with the area MCAs and the area Member of Parliament. When I went to Kisauni as well, I was with the area MCAs and the area Member of Parliament. And guess what? The population itself is in agreement that if we had not done what needed to be done, the situation would have been far worse. Far worse. If we had not intervened in places like Likoni, Mohima Stadium, if we had not intervened in places like Bofu area, if we had not intervened in places like Changamwe, situation would have been way worse. Old Town, people of Old Town are aware of this. Forget about the Old Town, the CBD itself. If we had not done what needed to be done, we truly have been able to be way worse off. I hear others stating that hire young people. Before being told anything, we've already hired. Again, the sound is a bit messing up.
I want to interject. The sound is messy, baby, because I'm trying to interject. I want to bring in a question here. The situation on the ground is
yes,
there are people in Mombasa who are affected by the ongoing floods. You have
yes,
done what you have been able to do. What do you need to do to address the plight of those that are currently affected by the floods? Whether it's due to the ongoing construction of the roads, whatever the case, there are people who are affected by the floods. What do you need to do and what are you doing?
First of all, we've done whatever needed to be able to be done, and we did not just do this in a political ceremonial thing. We involved every single leadership. We went round to every single affected area. My CECs stopped doing whatever they were doing and worked with the political leadership, administrative leadership from both national and county governments, and we were able to send relief to all these areas. This, by the way, are images that KTN as well has been able to air. There are a number of houses as well that have been able to be swept away. But what we need to be able to do, and you use the word ongoing floods, right now, as it is right now in Mombasa, we do not have ongoing floods. We had heavy rainfall that lasted 24 to 48 hours. That is what we had. So what we require right now, our roads is not that they're impassable. We do not need choppers to be able to fly anything out. What we need is cooperation from the national government.
And what shape should this cooperation look like? So before you answer that question, let me ask it in a different way. There's national coordination that's happening from the Deputy President's office. We saw initial meetings that also had the chair of the Council of Governors and other national leaders. Have you, as the governor of Mombasa, and your fellow governors, had a meeting with the national leadership to discuss the response to the ongoing El Nino?
We did it.
And what was agreed in that meeting?
We did it once.
Is there money that needs to come from the national government? How much? How much should come to Mombasa?
We did it once. We did not do any other meeting. The first meeting that we did was with a number of stakeholders. In fact, a number of, this was actually done in the Deputy President's house, in his official residence, which also works as his other office. And all the governors were there, and it was decided, yes. But after that, there was no other level of coordination. Like I said, disaster preparedness. The word preparedness is used here in the sense that to prepare a country constitutionally. Fourth schedule 124. This is totally on the side of the national government. The same constitution. When you go to now Article 189 talks about the two levels of government needing to be able to work together. And in this instance, checking what does Mombasa require, the right person to be able to ask would be the county government of Mombasa, a political affiliation aside. But on our part, what we were able to do, I want to actually congratulate, and the people of Mombasa as well will be able to agree with me. If we did not do what needed to be done, we would have been submerged in water. But what we are asking for is just cooperation, nothing else. Politics can be able to be played out in politics. Everyone can be able to support whoever they want to support. But for now, we have one people, and these are the people of Kenya. These are the people of Mombasa. Who voted either way, and even those who didn't vote need to be able to get services regardless of anything else.
Okay. Thank you, Governor. Let's come to you again, Peter Aboao, Communication Manager at Kenya Red Cross. Even as Mheshimiwa said, Kenya Red Cross has done quite a bit in terms of just response and being able to assist the people who've been affected in this particular disaster in Wajir, in other counties as well. What now do we need from various actors, non-state actors such as yourself, the county government, the national government? What do we need? Because there are people who, like Mheshimiwa has said, people tonight who are not sleeping in their homes. People who are maybe tonight trying to look for somewhere to sleep because it's raining and their houses are flooded. What do we need to do?
Yes, first of all, we need resources. Resources have to be made to be availed to support these people. We need every hand, and the SG for Red Cross has repeatedly said that we need all hands on deck. We need to move together on this because the numbers are high and they are likely to continue to be high. We have people currently who are sleeping in the cold, what we have been doing, and you see it's an evolving emergency or disaster response. There's a first phase where people just need to be rescued and put in a place where we have to save lives and then be supported there. You have things that they require. They require clean water, they need food, they need emergency shelter. So these are the things that they have to get as a matter of urgency to make their lives fairly a bit comfortable, so that they can a bit survive where they are currently. A number of camps have already been set up. We have camps in people who are now in sort of temporary camps in the northern part of the country, including in Mheshimiwa's county of Wajir, in Tana Delta. There are a number of camps because the Tana River has already broken its banks. So those are some of the early things that we require. We need clean water, we need food, people need medicine, they need water purification chemicals to make sure that we prevent emergency of diseases. So we do need resources to be able to provide this, and those resources must come from every stakeholder, every well-wisher that cares for these people who've been affected.
Has there been any amount of quantification of the amount needed? Are you able to tell, maybe we need 100 billion shillings, 1 trillion shillings, the 1.8 trillion that will come from the World Bank? How much?
there are many figures we're working with. Initially, the committee led by the Deputy President was talking about upwards of 15 billion. But of course, as the situation unfolds, this could change. But what we know is that the resources are required, and as of now, they aren't sufficient.
Mheshimiwa, coming back to you, you've talked about many times it's the lack of coordination, and now we need to have all hands on deck to coordinate so that we can then assist, because this is not over. Next, we're going to have diseases, then reconstruction of people's homes and roads and the other infrastructure. What must be done now, in your opinion, to then coordinate this better? Because, like you said, it's poorly coordinated so far.
You see, the weathermen have predicted, have alerted, and say that the El Nino floods, the El Nino rains will be with us up to end of January. Meaning the frequency, intensity, duration, and timing of the El Nino rains and the El Nino flood, as we speak right now, might be unpredictable. So nobody can say, you can see in Nairobi, it rains in the morning, by midday it's too hot. And that is typically the characteristic of El Nino.
El Nino.
Because in other parts of the world, in some areas, it induces floods. In other areas, it induces extreme hotness. So it's because of this right now that we are asking the government, because it's the government that has the resources, to forget about everything else. Politics will come later on. Jurisdictional conflict will come later. Conflict will be addressed later on. Right now is a matter of life and death. It's a matter of life and death, and I want to appeal to the DPUs in charge of this to marshal all resources, whether they're national or county, because at the end of the day, the resources all belong to the people of Kenya, and ensure that there is proper coordination and get facts. Proper coordination, because right now one thing is leading to the other. The El Nino floods, the El Nino rains have destroyed infrastructure, okay, have caused other destructions that have led to lack of food, lack of medicine, lack of housing, lack of decent toilets, and many other things. So, and maybe in the next few days, as I've just said, that we'll be dealing now with both, communicable and other waterborne diseases. So it's because of this right now. First thing, marshal all resources together, get proper coordination, send senior officers, the CSs, each of the CSs. We want to see the CS Murkamen, very vibrant, young CS. By now, we expected him to be somewhere, empathizing with the people, and also even assist in the delivery of some of the services. We are yet to see that. By now, we expected the CS in charge of relief and ASAL areas, Madam Malonza, to be in the field. We are yet to see that. By now, we expected different arms of government, the departments, to be on the ground. They are not there. So I think let's put the resources together. Let's properly coordinate this. Let's also empathize by going to the people, by telling them that this is, because us as leadership, as members of parliament, our hands are tied. The resources are either with the county government or with the national government. Ours is oversight, legislations. That is why we have made every attempt to reach out to the CSs concerned, the individuals concerned, and alert them that this is a crisis. Some have listened, and I'm glad that Red Cross was among the first agencies actually that came to the rescue of these people. The county governments are doing in their, whatever they can. Some of the assistance that's coming actually from the national government might be too late, too little. So I think what we require is coordination, because we do not know for how long these El Nino floods and rains are likely to be with us. So what I'm asking the government to do is declare this a national disaster. 2, marshal resources together. 3, coordinate the delivery of those resources to the affected areas. 4, liaise with the county government, because the resources belong to the people of Kenya, and ensure that the national government assists the county government in delivering what they have. Because if they have food, how will they deliver? They do not have choppers. It's the government that they do not have transport plane. So it's because of this that right now we need to put everything else aside. It's an emergency time. It's a crisis time. Let's put our pride aside. Let's put our jurisdictional conflict aside. Let's put shelve our egos aside and come out and assist these poor people right now who are victims of this natural catastrophe. And that's the only way we can proudly say that every part of Kenya legitimately has a share of the natural resources when challenges come. Because right now, if we say last night, I can tell you from 10 to early morning, we are monitoring the floods. And we're saying, look, how many of the villages in my sub-county headquarters are going to be washed away? We're in that state. Even right now, as we after living here, that is what we'll be monitoring. And I think that it's the little that we can do. So right now, please, for God's sake, and I hope and pray that the DP, whoever he is listening to this, that we have asked for an appointment to share with him as leadership of Northern Kenya. Yeah. Some of the challenges, first-hand information that we have, and also assist the national government in coordinating some of the things, because we also understand the challenge. Two, we have also asked our county governments. I know they have done a commendable job. The county government of Wajir has made tremendous efforts actually in delivering medicine and food. The county government of Mandera has also done the same. The county government of Garissa has done the same. But I think we're asking them, the county government, those three county governments, to rearrange their budgetary allocations, call for an emergency county assembly sessions, and do a supplementary. Because we do not know for how long this thing is likely to be there with us, and ensure that we have enough resources to deal with this emerging El Nino floods threat. The other bit, which I think we should do as a matter of urgency, is, you see, these are the short-term things. In the long term, I think we require a Marshall Plan. A Marshall Plan that will address the developmental challenges for the people of North. For many years, many decades, we have cried. When half the year is drought, the other half is floods. The other half is literally. So really, we want to be also very proud citizens that have every right to get a portion of the services of service. Their government. We appreciate delivery. I mean, devolution has injected a bit of dynamism in our quest for development. But even there is need to use what has been devolved efficiently and transparently and properly, so that the resources that the national government actually has devolved can also reach every part of the respective counties. If we put all these together, I can assure you, in the next few years, maybe some of these things will be behind us.
Very well said there, Mheshimiwa. Very well said. I mean, you can't even take it further than that. I want to close with you, Governor Abdullswamad. Speak to the people of Mombasa, those that are watching you, those that know that the rains are still ongoing, those that are wondering whether they will be affected, and they want to hear from their governor. What will you tell them? What are you doing with your county executive and county assembly in terms of marshalling all the resources that you have, and in terms of even getting other well-wishers who may want to help?
Well, we've done what needs to be done. We're going to go ahead. Sorry, Eric, they need to... yeah, that's better. We've done what needs to be done. We have informed all the other agencies on the need for us to be able to work together. Instead of working against each other. We have gone round in each and every part of Mombasa. I personally have gone round in all the constituencies in Mombasa, all the wards that were affected. I was there. Today I was able to distribute close to another extra 2,000 this now extends to even not just households, but families. Considering Mombasa, people live more than one family together. We have been able to try and see where the challenges have been. You will recall that there was a time, a couple of months after we got elected, there were rains that were quite heavy, and it was all over. Railways roundabout was sinking, the middle of CBD, Kibarani Utange, we were able to fix each and every one of these areas. And despite the fact that we had these El Niños, these places were not affected at all. Are we doing something about it? Yes, we are. I'm going to ask equally the members of Parliament. Currently, as we're speaking, I believe that the supplementary budget is already done, and it's just waiting the President's signature. I heard my elder brother, Senior Kainan, indicating that they need to be able to allocate more funds for roads. Unfortunately, I looked at that supplementary. They've actually reduced the budgets for the road department. I hope that my brother Murkomen can be able to fight so that they are able to finish these infrastructures on time. But as it stands in the supplementary, which is currently with the President, and I think for further amendments, if my memory as a previous lawmaker, if my memory serves me right, they cannot be able to do anything unless it goes back again to Parliament for further review, or it goes back with a presidential reservation, or they're going to limit themselves and change it again within the PFM laws, which allows them to be able to work on the budget and change it by about 5%. But as it stands right now, the department or State Department in charge of roads and transport in totality. But I've seen an increase in the State Department for water and irrigation. So probably they will be able to pull a vote line for emergency preparedness from the other departments that they were able to increase the funding. But as it stands right now, on a legal perspective, they need to go back to the drawing board with the supplementary. And I want to reiterate again the amount of money that the county government of Mombasa was able, and I want to speak on behalf of myself as the CEO of Mombasa County. The other governors have been able to confirm and affirm the situation to me, but it would be prudent for media houses to be able to do the same. But there's been no money that has been received in regards to El Nino. The funding that we have been able to receive is our normal equitable share, which we were able to get. I heard others stating that we can be able to do a supplementary as it stands right now. That again is the prerogative of the county governments. We do not need to be able to be given any assent by anyone else except the county assembly. And as we are speaking right now, there is a supplementary currently underway so that we can be able to allocate more funds from our own equitable share, which is our constitutional right, to our own source revenue as well.
Thank you very much, Governor, and thank you very much for joining us and speaking to us live from Mombasa. Governor Abdullswamad Sharif Nasir, also Mheshimiwa Adan Kainan, MP Elders Constituency, and Peter Bow, the Communications Manager at the Kenya Red Cross. We've been talking about the flood, the effect of this, the costs in terms of lives and livelihoods. And this is a situation that is not only being watched, but also a lot of action from citizens on demanding that the government does more. The government here being national and county to address the plight for those that are affected. Let's end with this story. The government has launched operationalization of mobile maize drying machines aimed at curbing post-harvest losses in the wake of heavy rains pounding most parts of the country. Agriculture CS Medeka Linturi flagged off the initial phase of 100 grain dryers targeting 15 maize-producing counties across the country. But as Elvis Kosgei reports, farmers are calling for an upward review of the maize prices.